You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on, you foxes!
Of the net.
You're watching Leicester Till I Die TV.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Right, Chris.
All right there. All right at the back. How are you, devil are you all? Well, phew, hey, squeaky bum time. I don't know, mixed feelings. But I'll tell you something, it felt like a Sunday. You're saying to me, why did it feel like a Sunday, Chris? Why did it feel like a Sunday, Chris? Because I'll tell you what, it's not just Jesus that saves. Danny Ward saves as well.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
That is where you can find us all over, whether you want podcasts, that's usually after the show, live in all those three places. And if you're not watching on YouTube, please get over there and give us a subscribe and a follow. It does help the channel. Brad, Alan, who does our man of the match and ratings, 2 words, he said painful watch. You can't hear me.
It sounded it.
You tried to do after yesterday where the whole thing went down in the middle of the show. Don't do that to me. I thought then for a minute, I thought he can't.
That gets you back for that backstage answer. Yeah, that gets you back for the backstage answer when my sound went. It sounded it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it. Today I had problems with my phone and streaming it itself wasn't the greatest, but it sounded like, and I know I said to you this just before we've come live, Chris, didn't I? I said it sounded like that traditional cup where both sides kind of play the game like, well, if we get through, we get through, but if not, the lads that want to make an impression at least get it. You know, like the managers were going, if we go through, it's a bonus, but as long as the lads I put out do a good job, we've had a good game sort of thing. But Brighton don't like playing at the King Power. And they don't like playing in cup competition.
No. We have to stop drawing Brighton. It's not good for my heart. 90-odd minutes and 94. I want to start by actually saying good evening to Facebook user there. Sums it up about us leaving things for the last minute. I want to start, and I've got to give credit here to the Brighton fans because, my stream was down until about the 40th minute, but we'll come on to that. But listening to it, you could have heard a pin drop during that minute silence. Now, normally with opposition fans, you get some idiot that, thinks it's clever to cheer or shout something and then it sets others off, reply. So I just want to say thank you to the Brighton fans because I think they were impeccable tonight.
Yeah, it's always nice when that happens. And I don't ever recall when it's been for such a sad occasion to come to the anniversary of the passing of Vishai. I don't think any club we've ever played on that day has been anywhere anywhere near disrespectful. In fact, we've got quite a rapport with Cardiff because of that day, because obviously they were the first opponents we played after the tragedy struck. So I'm really glad and thankful that nobody who travelled to the game from Brighton or both sets of fans, because sometimes you get an idiot at home, don't you? That's maybe had a few 2 beers. Thankfully, nothing went off, and it's nice to see that Leicester keeping up a good habit of always getting a good result on this day, because it's always going to be forever an emotional day for anybody represented within Leicester, not just the club, but within Leicester. So it's made a bit of an.
I think as part of these YouTube channels, we're in a lot of groups sharing information and helping each other out. And I want to say again, thank you to all my fellow contributors and YouTubers for the messages of support you've sent today. Doug even sort of sending me a personal one. So thanks to everybody for that. That was really appreciated this morning. Even if you did wake me up with my phone going off. Right, man. I'm going to start, and you'll know why in a minute. I'm just going to start with this, because that is just for Dan from Turf Moorhouse, who called it Danny Ward penalty save. He did actually say, and I was about to go mad at you because you did actually send me a message saying, because poor old Burnley got beaten by Tottenham. It's just not your season, is it? But you sent me a message just before, during the penalty shootout, saying, "Oh yeah, you'll win this. Danny Ward will save a penalty." And when he did, I thought you fact that you told me before it had happened and were giving me a spoiler, and I would not have been happy. But good evening, Dan. I won't ask how you are because you lost to Tottenham, and I know that's always painful for you. Words and pictures. Good evening, sir. How the devil are you? Dan, indeed. Dan, the Burnley man. And on Andrew, nearly called you Andre for some reason then. Andrew, I've called you worse, let's be honest. Still not convinced by Vestergaard. Bookline from America. Good evening, sir. How the devil are you? I admire your dedication to produce the post-match Caribou Cup show. We do everything here. We do everything. Have a look at the new welcome video on the YouTube page. You'll see we do more videos than Derby County got points in the Premier League. Let's just leave it at that. But Brad, Chowdhury captain?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a natural captain out there in the lineup tonight. Right, 2 seconds. Somebody's trying to ring me. I didn't want to put the phone down. 2 seconds.
That's right. You did. You panicked me then because I'm going to be honest with you. That's what happened the other day. Lots of bad noise, and then my stream. My stream ended. Let's just quickly do this because it's still fresh in the memory, and I think it still needs a replay.
Viewers, apologize. I'm continue.
I love that. So yeah, Chowdhury was captain. Let's have a look here at the team. Pretty much, I've got to give a credit. We didn't pre-plan it, but me and Craig put a team together in the preview show last night. We were not that far off. In fact, the only one I think that we didn't go for was we actually, no, in fairness, Craig went for Daley Campbell. There just wasn't a thing on the BBC app with his name on, so couldn't bring him in. But yeah, like you say, you know, I suppose Soyuncu experience, but again, I've got to be saying, take my hat off. You know, I've not always been a supporter of Chowdhury, but all fair play to him tonight.
Yeah, like I said, there wasn't exactly really a bad performance out there. I don't think anybody had a terrible game. I think the lineup was exactly what most people expected, or as close to it as you're going to get without maybe a few others. I saw a few shows thought it was very strange that people were so insistent and Evans would play a fourth game in a row with Arsenal at the weekend. That baffled me. But apart from a few people saying Evans will play it, a lot of people got it right. We expected a change. A few nice surprises. Seeing Campbell in the side. Dewsbury Hall probably wasn't too much of a surprise, but it was nice after all the words that Brendan's said about him, especially in the pre-season, to see him getting minutes on the pitch and looking good. And obviously there was Lukeman and Harvey Barnes, who with Leicester's reshuffle in style of formation, have been a bit restricted to being bit part players on the bench over the last few weeks. So it was nice. It was a good run out. And in the end, it was probably a performance that matched the 10 changes to the side.
Yeah. Andrew says here, very unprofessional, Brad. It will appear when we do an end of season gag reel, it will appear on there, maybe along with Macedonia, but shh, don't tell Brad.
Don't mention the Macedonians. I think you got away with it.
Nippon, good evening, sir. How the devil are you? Terry, good evening, sir. Welcome along. Hope you're well. It's great living in Brighton. I bet it is, mate. I bet it is. Can I just say that when we played them the other time, and of course it was very difficult because we were playing Brighton and VAR. Tonight, without VAR's help, they couldn't beat us. I'll just leave that out there.
You're a forward, Mr. Potter.
Words and pictures is Ghanaian. Love this clip. I love it as well, Words. I really do. And Andrew says, I hope that was your phone buzzing. We'll never know. He did go off camera, so, you can't see what he's doing with his hands down there. But overall, if he bounces, he's on his bed, so if he bounces, we know. Overall, pretty much what you'd expect. We've got 3 weeks of 2 games a week. Because next week we've got Moscow coming over. Last week we had Moscow away. We've got Brighton this week. So you expected the changes. I looked at that and I thought, knowing that Brighton would also be making changes, because I think they really want to concentrate and get as high up the league as they can. I looked at that and I thought that's the squad that we can win. But overall, whether it was the fact that it's the Carabao Cup, whether it's the fact that we've played so many games, it just felt, and no disrespect to the fans, because the fans were making a lot of noise, but it just felt a bit flat.
Yeah, it did. It seemed to be very contrast in both halves. It seemed to be a case of Leicester were right on it for the first 20 minutes of each half, and then sort of, maybe some people might say in a bit of an arrogant way, kind of went, well, that's job done because Brighton aren't really doing much, and maybe they lost a bit of focus. It would be a bit harsh to say that. I mean, when you don't play week in, week out, like a lot of that squad does, it can be hard to keep that momentum going. And obviously you're expected when you play for Leicester or you play for any club to keep the same mentality and concentration as the regular players, like your Madisons and your Tillemans and your Vardas, etc. And it's not always that easy. But I think, in a sense, Leicester and Brighton were probably the makers of their own downfall. Brighton certainly were for our goals, and we still haven't figured out that we don't like conceding from set pieces for one of theirs. So in the end, I think if you was to look at the lineups of every game that went on tonight and you were to say which one's probably going to go the distance, you would have looked at Leicester and Brighton's and gone, they've definitely got both eyes on the weekend and possibly coming weeks with the side they put out and the way it might go.
Definitely. And David says there, you'll no doubt get to it later, but to my eyes, both Vestergaard and Mendy were very poor. Hamza was actually very good, got stuck in and was very active. I think, and I haven't got a graphic this week because it's a late night game and We were waiting, obviously, on Alan coming out of the ground. Rather than keep you guys waiting and still be doing this at 1 o'clock in the morning, we started the show early. But basically, Alan, who does our match ratings, gave the team 4 and the manager 5. Now, as we always say, remember that, he's been there, he's seen it live, so, he's seeing a lot more than we're seeing on the screen. And, a 4 and a 5 could be a 5 and a 6. It's, one ear or the other. We say that every time. And he said 2 words he said were painful watch that I pinched at the start. I think that kind of sums it up. Nobody, and I'll come to the man of the match later, but nobody really stood out. There's a couple of individual pieces of brilliance for the goals, but you can't say that, anybody really sort of staked a claim, or even as they just stood out for me.
No, and there was there's probably going to be a few players that have come off that pitch tonight, probably a bit annoyed at themselves more than anything. And this was always going to be. This is probably always one you've kind of got the sense that the ratings weren't going to be high. And unless one team just keeled over, then it was either going to be extremely high or extremely low, depending on which team it was. But both teams kind of match each other in the intensity. And look, I don't want to say it, but the attitude towards this competition is very lethargic in general. We could do a whole show talking about the presentation of it.
Yeah.
We don't get live draws. We don't, 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday for a quarter-final draw of the cup.
I mean, whether that is an upgrade from the fact that we said we talked about this before, whether it's an upgrade on the fact that it's normally on the one show, which is not a show, it's almost like, I mean, it was, in fairness, we know that it's sort of, the least of the competitions you want to win, probably just above the Johnson Paint Trophy, if that's still going. But, it is second to the FA Cup, but for God's sake, put some jazz into it. Doing the draw on the one show, like you say, 10:30 on Saturday, when people are setting off to the matches if they're playing away, or they are. I mean, I know it'll be on the radio and what have you, or you're out with the missus shopping, doing the garden. It's just almost like the EFL are taking caribou for idiots. And we'll give all this money, but we can't really be bothered with the cup,
Yeah, and it's a shame, when Leicester were very predominant in being in finals and winning the League Cup and making a good fist of it with the competition. It was really, and it's probably, unfortunately, at its peak then, and we didn't realise that, we enjoyed it. And back then it was more a tradition of, you probably had Liverpool and Manchester United, but then every other club in that in the Premier League was wanting to win it because it was a backdoor into Europe. But it still is. Nothing's changed. It still has the potential to give your Burnleys, I know they're out tonight, but to make an example, your Tottenhams who are playing in the Conference League, so they can't even make it into the why anybody would say they don't want to win a Carling Cup is beyond me.
Despite all of that, I'd still want to win it. And I remember, like I said, it was great when we went to Wembley 3 times in 4 years, won it twice. Unfortunately, lost to some club who has a cock on a ball as the emblem. Yeah. But when I can remember we played Man United in that in one of the seasons when we won it, and half their team were from the youth team. I don't think they did take it seriously at that point. They used to, and then it kind of died down. I mean, when you look saying that one of the finals was Leicester versus Tranmere, that says it all. Arsenal never made any bones of the fact that it was always going to be the youth players that were there up until the semis or whatever. And then suddenly the big teams did realise it was a way into Europe. And of course, Man City, who, bye-bye, Man City.
That awkward moment when the Man City goes out the Man City Cup.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So they have taken it seriously now. But you look at the teams that are in it. Sunderland, for example. They're in the quarterfinals. Well done, guys. So yeah, it does I think, as I say, I think that whether it's the sponsors, whether it's the EFL, they're not really. I don't think, and you made the point to me, but I agree with you totally. I don't think they take it seriously.
No, and it is such a shame, given all the and rightfully the attention that goes to playing in the FA Cup. We make a massive spectacle of it. It's very dramatic. We're always looking at, Havant and Waterlooville are playing Chelsea at Havant and Waterlooville, so it's live on BBC, and everybody can hope that they can knock out Chelsea, and that gets all excited. And then you hear that, like you said, in the 90s, all right, I'll give you the Manchester United did play their reserves. Although I remember Martin O'Neill retorted that question in that game you're on about, where he went, if you're talking about the likes of Keane and Poborski as reserve players, well, that's your own opinion.
It wasn't the whole.
No. But what I'm saying is I remember the game and I remember his comment very carefully. Yeah. But the thing is, there was also less teams back then that didn't take it seriously. Leicester certainly took it seriously.
Yes.
Other clubs like that definitely took it seriously, and it baffles me because, I don't understand why the Europa League and the League Cup seem to go hand in hand with everybody having not everybody, but quite a lot of clubs and fans of them clubs having such a disdain for the competition. It makes me scoff at the fact that some clubs are going, oh, I'm not bothered that we didn't make Europa League, I'd rather not make it, or oh, I'm not bothered about the League Cup, I'd rather not win it. What you're an empty trophy cabinet.
Do you not think though? I take on board 100% what you're saying there, and I agree with you. But it's great that we've gone through, and while we're in it, I want to win it. But I remember last season, we got Arsenal in our first game, and they put us out, if you remember. And yes. I remember not being happy we were out, but not disappointed, if that makes sense,
Yeah, I think
it is the fourth competition, I think, on every. If you had to say, if I said to you, which one, would you not mind going out of? I think you'd have to say the Carabao Cup, wouldn't you?
Yeah, obviously you definitely would. You go in an order of ranking, it's going to be the Carabao Cup. But again, at the same time, that kind of gets a bit simmered, doesn't it? Because if you draw, say, an Arsenal or a Manchester United in the FA Cup, you don't mind losing to a stronger side on paper. I know Man United are great with Ollie at the wheel. I'm loving them at the moment. I'm sure lots of people are. But my contrast is, if we'd have got Manchester United in the FA Cup when Ferguson was in charge, we'd have gone, well, as long as we give them a good game, if it causes an upset, brilliant, but if not, we go out. Yeah. You don't even get that effect in the Carabao Cup. Last season, like you said, we weren't really arsed. And again, tonight, to a point, I wasn't really overly bothered. And I know I might sound like I'm making an advocate for the Carabao Cup, but that just shows you how it's changed. If we'd have been playing Brighton in 98 or 96 when we went on to win it, I would have been very disappointed to have lost that on penalties. I mean, we used to make spectacles of winning penalties, We have a
out very easily on penalties.
Arsenal we knocked out in the FA Cup on penalties. I know that's a different contest, but you even feel that gets stung out of it. Like they're not like fans are collective, and unfortunately, it's a shame.
I think the fact as well, you've got all these. It's not on Sky, it's not on BT, it's not on Amazon, it's not on the BBC. If you want to watch highlights tonight, you have to watch it, I think, on Quest, which is a Discovery Channel. And it's like, I'm sure the BBC or ITV would grab their arms off to take it. Well, whether Sky, I think, might get involved later, I don't know. But going on to the comments here, David says, I would agree, Barnes' shot for his goal was good. The closing down to create the defensive error was also good. We'll come on to Barnes in a second because I do want to talk about Barnes. Mumsy talks, great win for you lot. He's a Man United fan. Please don't take anything that Brad says too seriously about Man United. He just hates you. We've got a great show, lads. Thanks very much. Are you still saying that now after what Brad said? David Hertzvich thought the first 20 minutes were excellent. From then on, it felt like we were playing to hang on. Munsey says, words and press is still going on with Dan. You like that, don't you? You like that words. Munsey, Liverpool will win it, so you don't need to worry about it. It's a cup. So who knows? Yeah. Maisie, how the devil are you? We are good, Maisie. We are good. Are you still in this cup? I don't think you are you? I think this is another one that Ollie's managed to sort of jettison you out of.
It's big brain by Ollie, right? He knew this losing streak was going to come up, so he thought, well, if we're not in the Carabao Cup, we can't lose.
That is true.
Ollie's big brain, mate. Don't worry about it. Ollie at the wheel.
Just a minute. Ollie's at the wheel. Ollie's at the wheel. Make sure you got your seatbelts on, guys. Fine to say it's the fourth choice cup, but now we're in the quarterfinals. We should go for it. 2 matches in Wembley. Bronze. Totally agree. We were just saying that we want to win it. When we're not saying we don't want to win it. If we're in it, we want to win it.
Yeah.
But if we were to go out, I'd be disappointed if we fell out. If we were in the top 4 all season again and we fell out, I would be disappointed if we got out in one of the early rounds at the FA Cup after winning it last season. If we don't go through in the Europa League, I'll be more upset. That's what we're saying. Just more upset. But when we're in it, I want a trip to Wembley. Of course I do. I think most fans would. There's quite a few comments I've got to catch up with here. City at the Carabao Cup gives you a greater advantage to win the Carabao. I think Chelsea may potentially win it too. Almighty Blues, Ankit, how the devil are you? So welcome along. Is agreeing with you that about the Chelsea comment. I mean, it depends how seriously they take it, and I suppose how far they're going in the other competitions. Words and pictures. Good evening, says Dan. FA Cup revenge, please. Oh, you just lost it. You were second best on the day, Ankit. Just accept it. Moving on. That's Devils here. So basically, Ollie thought if we get out of the Carabao, we'll win the Champions League.
No, that's not Champions League, Chris. That stands for Conference League.
That's what it is.
That's where it is. That's where United are going. They're going.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate. I'm normally nice to you. I'm sorry. She's gonna have a go at me now.
Maisie, you missed the 5-0 clip again. I'm going to be playing that for weeks yet. So don't think that once you played another game that it goes past. Yeah, you might, Maisie. Man United might do well at the weekend because they've not had a game midweek, so that means they'll be a lot fresher, won't it? But hang on. No, they had 2 weeks off before they played us. No, forget that. Forget I said that. Scrap that.
Maybe they're still trying to damage limitate Liverpool's result. Maybe they're still trying to do some damage limitation.
But let's just say, I mean, Daka, I don't think was slow. I think he was very clean. But Barnes, I want to talk about because what a start he gave us. 6 minutes in, took his goal well. I know you were listening to it on the radio rather than watching it, and I was at that point. But Matt Elliott was getting excited as Matt Elliott could be. It was a great start, though. And, to say that he's been out, the 2 players that were out, him and Lookman, I think did really well.
Yeah, and I think probably out of the players that came in from the cold, if you will, they were the 2 that we were keen to see get a performance, and they've both got a goal from the Knights. Well, technically, did Barnes take a penalty as well as Lookman?
Yes,
I know,
he did. He took the second penalty. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, so they've managed a couple of goals through the night. That'll do them some good, and it will give Brendan the incentive to know that if the 3-5-2 isn't quite working, then he can rely on Barnes and Lookman and change things up. So when you have a game like this of low quality from both sides in the nicest way possible, in terms of the change players coming from cold, not being up to scratch, and not being at the full tempo that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 games. I think it's nice to see the players that you're expecting perform and get a goal, some form of positive impact out there, and it gives Brendan a nice comfort knowing he can change it up if it's not going well for them in a game.
Mm. And you've exposed Maisie. I don't know whether you two need to get your own room or get some cold water. You know.
No, I didn't do it, Your Honour. I didn't expose anybody. I didn't send anything to anybody. No, that's not. No, I'm innocent to proven guilty.
Do check out Devils United TV. It's a great channel. Doesn't just do Man United, and it's a great channel just to nip over and give her a bit of banter. She loves a bit of banter, does Maisie. And Almighty Blues FC as well, a great Chelsea channel. Like us, a lot of these channels, although they run primarily for, as in ourselves with Leicester, they do other things as well. Maisie does a lot with women's football. I suppose is when you support Man United or Arsenal, the women's team's got to be one that you maybe holding out for winning something this season. Oh, did I say that out loud? Burnley's grabbing at straws here with Dan. Harvey Barnes, the only positive to come out of Burnley in recent times, was born in Burnley. That's desperate, mate. That is desperate, you know.
Well, I tell you what is nice. The only positive to come out for Harvey Barnes is the commentators finally stopped calling him Ashley Barnes. That's insulting.
Here we go. Poor defending, Facebook user says by City tonight. Biting the I mean, there was changes, and then during the game there was 5 substitutions, which you were allowed in this competition now from this point onwards. I mean, that's half the team that's been changed. So I don't think you're going to get any consistency. You know, we knew when I looked and I saw that team, I'm thinking, yeah, good team. We can win this with that team, but there's not going to be the free-flowing football that we saw against Man United or we saw against Moscow, because they're players that, you know, haven't been playing for a while. And then when they're on, you know, I say half of them get taken off. So I suppose a bit of a stuttering performance was expected.
Yeah. And look, I know it's, you know, carting the same tired horse here, but I don't think the competition's, you know, Hall and Law in terms of its appeal to fans, and maybe its appeal to certain players that, you know, maybe that they know that this is just a run out. They're only playing to save legs, and you know, the old player like Chowdhury and Lukeman and Barnes, who we've seen a bit more of that throughout the season, would have seen it more as a chance to impress. And I think to a degree, when they were good, they did impress, especially Hamza Chowdhury, someone who, you know, near the end of last season was A, talked about leaving, and B, was probably 5th, 6th, 7th choice for that position that he plays. He's again rebuilt himself, found a bit of confidence, and done well when he's been asked to play and come on. There was probably some people maybe like, and I hate to say it because I do like players in Leicester shirts to do well, and despite what I say about certain players, I don't think if Leicester play a 3 at the back against Arsenal, I don't see Vestergaard starting that game, because I don't think he covered himself in any glory. For a guy of his stature, he was very, very tame on the ball and very, very shaky. I don't know how he's come here and had his confidence blown away that badly that he can't perform. And I know Soyuncu had a bit of it.
Do you say that, and he hasn't necessarily played well, but I'm say hi to Luca. I'll see you on Friday for the preview of the Arsenal game, mate. You say that with Vestergaard. I mean, I look back and you remember that stick that Ryan Bennett got? You know, I mean, was he as bad as we were making out, or were we as fans just peed off that he was the only signing we made in the January window? I think that's what it was. I don't think, you know, yes, he didn't necessarily go out there, win any man in the matches or anything like that. And Vestergaard today, did he do any worse than anybody else? Or are we just saying we don't like Vestergaard? Now, all I will say is, if we hadn't gone out and bought Vestergaard, Tarkowski was twice the money, at least, that Burnley would have held out for. We haven't got Fofana in. We've got Evans, who is let's be honest with you, as good as he is, he's a liability, because you don't know exactly when he's, you know, going to get injured again. And at his age, how long he might be out for. We needed some form of cover. Benkovic obviously isn't that man. It's not in his plans. He's making that obvious. And we went out and we were able to get him for 15 million, which, let's be honest with you, it sounds a lot, but these days is peanuts. I don't, has he done anything worse than Soyuncu this season? Because Soyuncu was bloody awful at the start and I wanted him dropped.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you're a new player, you come into the mix where no matter how unbiased you try to be, as a fan or as a manager, you're probably afforded a bit more time to get your head together and get it sorted. If you've been there for a few years and a predominant first team player like Soyuncu has, and unlike others that have come before Vestergaard, I don't think Leicester fans over-expected anything from Vestergaard. I think it was very clear by the way they haggled the deal down and his terms and his contracts for the length of it, that Vestergaard was coming in purely on the basis of the fact that absolute something or other that I won't say broke Fofana's leg. Had he not happened, I don't think Leicester signed Vestergaard.
I don't think we would, and that's maybe why we only got Lookman on a loan, because the money was spent on Vestergaard, and even Brendan Rodgers didn't expect Vestergaard to be playing as much as he is now. So and let's look at that back four as a whole. You don't know each week whether it's a back four, back three, back five, whatever. You don't know with the injuries we're getting. And it's great to see James Justin back on the training ground, by the way. It's brilliant to see him. But, whoever comes into there, it's a different one each week, almost.
Yeah. And I stress the point that Leicester need to maintain as best they can a consistent back three, which we have seen with Soyuncu, Evans and Amati over the last 2 to 3 games. And again, taking into account the state of the Carabao Cup and how the Carabao Cup is deemed to a lot of clubs, and given, as you pointed out earlier, we are in that period where Leicester will be playing midweek, weekend for a few weeks. That these players are going to have to come on. I personally don't think Leicester fans expected too much from Vestergaard in the way, and I think the only thing that's disappointing, and the reason, I get your comparisons to Bennett. I think it was a mixture of both with Bennett. I think Leicester fans were frustrated that they didn't do more action in the transfer window, and when they did, it wasn't of the highest quality, with all greatest respect to Ryan Bennett. In the fact that he wasn't of that caliber that Leicester brought in. I don't think Ryan Bennett, to his capabilities, did anything wrong or did anything worse than what he could achieve, but he wasn't of the caliber. And unfortunately, I think, like you said, he wasn't expected to have played as much as he has this season. But for 15 million, we've got a player to whack on. That if Evans, it's squad player to come on for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, shut out a game, give someone like Evans a rest for Soyuncu if they're picking up a knock or whatever. And I just think somehow he's still not quite managed to live up to the very low expectations, for lack of a better word to explain it. I think that's the problem with him.
Lucas says that Arsenal are going to beat us on Saturday.
Arsenal
That's all I've got to say to you, Luke. Although, having said that, in fairness, I would have sooner played you at the start of the season.
I've got a feeling we'll do to Arsenal what most teams do when Arteta starts getting giddy with his performances. And we'll beat them. But we'll talk about that on the show on Friday.
Yeah. Maisie says here, I felt with Vestergaard, he was so good last season that people had a higher expectation going to Leicester. I think he will get better over time. I mean, I'm an old git here. I'm sat here, grey hair, no hair, whatever, depending what part of my body you look at. We won't go into that. But, I can remember Kevin Keegan, for an example. I think when Liverpool signed him, fans may correct me here, but I seem to remember he came from, I think it was Scunthorpe to Liverpool. And I think it was quite a few months before he even saw the first team. These days, players are brought in, whether it's from another club or another abroad, and they're plopped into these teams almost straight away. I mean, sometimes they sink, sometimes they swim. Fofana swam like he was an Olympic swimmer. But, we're not giving players time to bed in before we get in on their backs. And Leicester, we've always got to have a scapegoat. It's been Chilwell last few years before he left, and, players before then. And I don't know why he was an England left back, but, Leicester fans knew better than that and thought he was rubbish. But we like to sort of pick on these players. But he's not been brilliant. But it's hard for that,
Yeah. He's also not been as awful as people make out. And I think when you look back at his transfer, I think there was more. Some fans maybe put more on his shoulders because it was a panic expectation. And what I mean by that is, Fofana got injured. All of a sudden, we only had Evans and Soyuncu available. And as well as Leicester have done in the transfer window, we were kind of like, can we get someone we actually know is reliable at the back and has got experience in this division instead of going to the French 5th division to get a centre-back in, please? Because, with Benkovic, we've seen that it doesn't always work out when you get them from a farmers league. But my point stands is, and Vestergaard comes with experience. And on his day, he can be a good defender. But I think it was the panic around not having Fofana. Leicester have a tendency to play free at the back. Do we really want another untried player that might not work out? Even though the percentages would weigh up that Leicester find gems all the time, there is these players that we spoke about and mentioned names before that don't work out. Or do we go out and get a tried and tested and very well proven player, and we got him in? And like Mage said there, maybe the expectations of the fact that he was quite commanding and minus them 2 games against Leicester and Manchester United, was very well rounded as a defender and never really had a shattering performance. And again, he had an injury when he came to us, didn't he?
Yes,
he played one game and was injured, so he didn't come to us.
We have to accept as Leicester fans that if we hadn't bought him, we would have been in the doo-doo.
Well, we would have been relying on Benkovic. And I tell you what, Benkovic...
I don't even think Benkovic would have got in, to be honest with you. I think it would have been some youth player that came in. David says here, I don't understand though why they look as disjointed most of the time when Evans is not there. He can't tell them what to do all the time, but Vestergaard looks bereft of any initiative on his own. Again, though, David, and I respect your opinion, but you could say exactly the same thing about Soyuncu when Evans is not next to him. This has been something that's been said a few times, is that Soyuncu plays better when Evans is in the squad. Why? Soyuncu should be able to play well. He's an international. He's got the experience now. He should be able to play well, whether Evans is in there or not. Now, you look at, Brendan Rodgers has even said that Soyuncu is the better player when Evans is in there. Well, why? Like I say, he's a Turkish international. He's been here a few years. You shouldn't have to have Evans. But what Evans brings you is the experience, because he's been there, seen it, got the T-shirt, a bit like a Wes Morgan. I mean, what did Wes Morgan bring to the team at the end of his time when he came on? It certainly wasn't football, because more than often than not, at the end of his term, he put the ball in the back of his own net. But what he bought was the experience to tell the other people what they can do. That's what Evans brings. And when Evans isn't there, of course you lose that. But it's not just Vestergaard, Soyuncu does as well.
Yeah, and I have brought this up before, haven't I? That I said I don't feel that Vestergaard and Soyuncu are natural leaders in the sense of they are like your dogs on a leash that you let off and go at them. We've heard the stories about.
Don't mention dogs here in front of Dan, because obviously Burnley players aren't allowed to keep dogs because you can't hold on to a lead.
Well, that's very true. Sorry, Dan, I didn't mean to abuse your team again, but we'll talk about but they don't have that instinct. They've got the killer instinct. They've got that, I'm going to shut you out. I'm going to make that tackle. I'm going to catch up to you. They're there as sort of the bodyguards, if you will, or the grunts, or whatever terminology you want to use, where Evans will pull the strings. Because if you look at every back line in the Premiership, I don't care how good you are, you will go to every team and say, if Virgil van Dijk, if Harry Maguire, to a extent, well, maybe this season is more Varane because he's the more experienced player. If I'm drawing a blank on other teams,
no,
but if they are, if Varane and Van Dijk are missing out on Liverpool's back line, there isn't every man and his dog. Sorry, Dan. Sorry, every man and his cat, whatever. Will tell you that they are weaker without them players in. And it's not saying that they can't defend without them players, but every team's trained. You are a great defender, but you are more suited to getting yourself in their faces, getting them crunching tackles in, and listening to this man. This man's played for Man United, he's played for West Brom, he's won trophies, he knows what he's doing. If he tells you to do something, you listen to him. If you two get it, just get that ball out. And you have it. We had it at Leicester with Elliott, Walsh, and Taggart. These players had commanding heads we could rotate. We're not as fortunate at that. Now the game is played where you will always have a standout defender. You have a standout midfielder and a standout attacker at every point in the pitch, mate, don't you? So you go around every club, Dan, Burnley, Tarkowski, if he doesn't play, you're probably a weaker side without him, and you don't have that commanding defender. So
I don't think it'll be much weaker than we are at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
I do get what you mean. I do get what you mean. Oh, I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I'll leave this thought, and we'll have a very, very quick 10-second break and come back and carry on. But I will leave you with this thought: 15 million for Vestergaard or 80 million for Harry Maguire. Let me know after this. Indeed, new competition coming up tomorrow night. I'm doing sloppy seconds again tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, with Dan and with the Quizmaster, and a bit different, not football related. We're just having a bit of a general knowledge, laugh and mess about between teams, bit of banter. The race, 9 o'clock tomorrow. But I mean, Maguire at 80 million, he's having a bit of a bad time of it at the moment. But the more important question I've got to ask you, Brad, is, can you last 22 seconds?
It depends what you're asking me to do.
Well, I'll tell you something, that is as long as Brighton could hold on to a lead tonight. 22 seconds between scoring, and Lookman, fair dues to him. He was alive to that mistake, and he capitalised.
Yeah, he did, and I jokingly put on Facebook, and I think I posted it to the group as well, saying Leicester's new tactic, let them score, we'll score from kickoff, because Leicester have done that now against Manchester United, Spartak Moscow and Brighton in 3 different competitions as well. They're getting good at doing it. I'd rather them not score and do it, maybe just when they're starting the match in the first half or the second half, we go and rob the ball off them and score. But I think collectively, Leicester have scored 3 goals in under a minute when the opposition have kicked off. I could be wrong, but I reckon if you add the Spartak Moscow, the Manchester United goal, and this goal together, it still wouldn't equate to 60 seconds and Leicester scored 3 goals. So, yeah, it's impressive to know that Leicester's press does well. And credit to these players like Lookman and Daka and Vardy and Perez and Castagne and that, and that we're in the areas to make these goals happen, because it just shows what's working on the pitch. That everybody is on board with the idea of what they have to do in these situations.
Yeah,
it's getting a bit of a pattern there, isn't it?
That Arsenal are coming for us. Bring it on, Luca. If you like that other top London team in white, that they've been coming for us for 5 years, and we're still waiting for them. So, get in the queue. And
it's like waiting for Arsenal is like waiting for a Sunday bus at 9 o'clock at night. It ain't never going to happen.
No, and when it comes, it's like a fart with a follow through. It's just absolutely shit.
Yeah, or it says not in service.
Yeah. Sorry, Luca. We will see it the weekend. Yeah,
it's going to be a good game.
in Arteta we trust. You know, the process is working. At this rate, you'll be in the Europa Conference League. We'll come back to your point later, Craig. Do remind me, but how the devil are you? Did you go tonight, Craig? Let us know what it was like from being there, because we were struggling to actually see anything. Maybe Devils United. She says here, Leicester's team costs much less, but works so much better than Arsenal, and they've no Ostergaard either. He was the fantastic signing you made when you realised you weren't getting Maddison. And you all sort of, had to go and put your tissues back in the cupboard. Where are we here? My ears burnt here in Conference League. Yeah, maybe you should get used to it. Get used to it. You could be there next season. Right, Mendy.
Yeah,
he came on. Again, didn't do anything, but the poor guy's not had a game all season in any form apart from under 23s, I think.
Yeah, it's been a strange journey for Mendy since his arrival at Leicester, hasn't he? He had a very notable and good start, and then he got that unfortunate injury against Arsenal when he first arrived. Then he disappeared off the face of the planet. And he came back into the mix and was all of a sudden, he got that contract extension. He looked like he was reborn, and then he was in the wilderness again. I mean, there was a few people that wasn't even sure. I was one of them. Wasn't even sure if he was eligible to play in this one, in the Carabao Cup. He's not been put in the. I don't think he's been put in the Premier League squad or the Europa League. I don't think he's been put in one of them. Again, someone might correct me in the comments. I hope they do.
No, he's not in the Euro. He's not. This is the only thing he can play in for us.
Yeah, I he'll be happy that Leicester went through, because he'll give them a chance to maybe feature again. But again, this is one of them where he was probably one of them players that was a bit annoyed at his own performance, but you can be forgiven because, like you just said, Chris, the guy, for whatever reason, has suddenly found himself behind Hamza Chowdhury in Dewsbury Hall all of a sudden, and that's credit to Chowdhury's efforts on the pitch over the last 6 months. He's obviously gave his head a wobble and sorted his mentality out, and Dewsbury Hall's coming on leaps and bounds in the under 23s. But I do feel for Mendy, and I know he didn't have the best things, but nobody did. Again, I don't think anybody
did. I think the fact that Terry gave the team 4 kind of sums it all up. To be honest with you,
the fact that we probably waited to see the outcome of penalty shootout before Alan decided his man of the match would probably say why we sat here going it's Danny Ward, because he inevitably won the game for Leicester. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I do feel sorry for Mendy because he's not like he's not like one of them players that Leicester fans see on the team sheet over the last several months and go, oh, for God's sake, like we have done with other players that you've mentioned tonight. But no, unfortunately, he's probably one of them that goes, just when I thought I could have given myself a look in January getting put back in the squad. I think they can, because they can register players again in January. He's probably thought that's not done many favours, and he'll probably be hoping that Leicester get a favourable draw, so he might get another chance to correct that. But I don't know. I think that might be it for Mendy, unfortunately.
Well, having said that, you don't know. He may get the nod over Chowdhury next time. But Facebook user here says Rogers has just said he installs the go get a quick goal to equalise when scoring. Team has relaxed a bit after scoring. I think it's always been known that a team is most vulnerable when they have just scored. And I think I'm saying in my 60s, and that's been known for a long time. So yes, and I don't think enough teams actually take advantage of that, and we've done that quite a bit in the last few games. Like I say, 22 seconds. It was longer than some of my escapades last, but Lookman took it well, and it looked like we were going through up until them getting the equaliser. A couple of subs they made. We'd made 5 changes at that point, which I think is too many. I mean, yes, it's all right. Oh, let's give these players a chance to come on. We were winning, and then you're starting to bring the big guns on. You brought Maddison came on. Sumari came on, Inacho came on. I forget, I can't read my own writing now, who came on for Lookman. But you're bringing those big names on. Why? We were winning. We didn't need to. Okay, a couple maybe to sort of close the game down, but 5 changes when we've got a game against Arsenal at the weekend, to my mind, it's too many. It really is too many because it disrupts the team. And as soon as you did that, boom, they went and got an equaliser.
Yeah, I think that again, and it's all great in hindsight when you see it happen in front of you. But I think that was just sod's law. I don't think Brendan was too happy with the fact that Leicester were almost sleepwalking to a 2-1 victory at that point. They, again, there's a lot of things that can get taken into account. I heard the weather wasn't that great. There was a strong wind there. I don't know how that would have affected the players, especially in the second half. But again, there was players that came in out of the cold that haven't really played or even trained with the first team, especially if they've been playing in the development. So I know it might sound like a bit of a weak excuse, but these players are only human, and when you're not playing competitive football at its higher level, in the greatest respects to the under-23s, because it is a major step up. We know that. You maybe didn't see the emphasis, and Brendan probably made them changes, not expecting Maddison and those that came on to go full hammered it and dash around for the 10-15 minutes they were on, but more just to give everybody in the ground and everybody on the pitch that security going, right, now we're going to shore it up. We're either going to get the killer and get the third or see it out. And unfortunately, as is normally the case, like you said, especially when you make changes, I would say the top 3 most dangerous things in football are making a substitute when you're on the defence, which Leicester have done before and other teams do, making changes at corners. The kick-off, scoring, defending it, because I don't think you're awake. I think you're still on a buzz and a high, which is what Leicester are very good at, being concentrating when they kick off and vice versa when the opposition score. And sometimes when it backfires like this, you make too many changes, and the worst thing you can do is put a player on and it goes wrong. But
you're quite
in
right.
the end,
Daco, good evening there. Welcome along to How the Devil Are You? Yeah, he is like your big brother. You're always going to play better when, certain players are on, but you should be able to perform without them being on. And you're totally right there, Brad. Totally right. Making all those changes can shore the team up, but it can also disrupt the team when it's so many. I can remember, Sven-Goran Eriksson, England manager, against Australia, 2 halves, and he made 11 substitutions. It was absolutely stupid, because what can you tell in 45 minutes? But I just for me think it was too many. Terry F says here the ones he brought on were penalty takers. At that point, though, Terry, we were 2-1 up. I think most of the time at that point when most of them came on, so we didn't need the penalty takers. It wasn't going to penalties. If you want to bring penalty takers on, I suppose the argument is give them 15 minutes run out. Because, again, we've seen it where, haven't we, Brad? We brought a player on for a penalty and he's missed it. But
not to give painful memories.
Yeah.
Not to give painful memories, mate, but the Euro finals, Gareth Southgate
exactly. Yes.
On with seconds on the clock, and they would, we all know what happened. So I kind of get it.
Of course, the good news is, I suppose, he did take Lookman off before it got to penalties.
Yeah, I don't fancy a Luton penalty special. But again, I suppose you could argue that, especially with Terry's point that he's made there, which is a viable one, is it was also maybe an insurance policy. Not just maybe saw it as these players come on, we either see it out, or like Terry said, I've got confident, good penalty takers on the pitch. So if we do concede, they're going to be warmed up. The blood's going to be flowing. They're not going to be stiff. They're not going to be jittery. They're not going to have 3 seconds on the pitch and then expect to score a penalty. And look at the penalties themselves. I mean, I've got to give credit to the guys who do LCS TV. They were very descriptive of where it went. It sounded like we had 3 or 4 wonderful penalties.
We did. Yes.
So, you know, it paid off in the end. And I suppose, again, it's nice when it works like this, but it's a lot easier to say it because had them players come on like the 89th minute and we've sat here talking about how Leicester lost 3-1 on penalties, we'd be saying, well, Rodgers should have got them on earlier. And it is what it is. But, you know, you don't...
That's why he earns the big bucks, of course. That's why he earns the big bucks. Apparently, Brighton have just suffered a 5-0 defeat, their biggest defeat since 1978. So it's all going wrong. We're going to look at the penalties in more detail, and we'll do that straight after this.
Aye, all right, Chris. This is Neil Razor Ruddock here. No, you're huge. A Leicester City fan. You run the website, Facebook, the Twitter site, Leicester till I die. That's what you are, Chris. Leicester till I die. I'm Leicester till I die. Anyway, Chris, well done for doing all the hard work for Leicester City. All the best, son. Neil Razor Ruddock. Aye, Chrissy. Aye.
I wonder what he's done tonight, because a lot of the pubs were shutting tonight, weren't they?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I've got some breaking news and some fantastic news for Manchester United fans. All your problems have been solved. You have the availability, a manager from a Galactico club, because as of tonight, the mighty manager of one of the great Spanish sides is already available. That's right. Ronald Koeman has been sacked by Barcelona after losing 1-0 to Real, whoever it was. They've lost 1-0. He has been sacked. So don't worry. You've got a Barcelona manager with that on his CV. Bring him in. Get Ollie back in the number 2 slot. All by that. Koeman for United. There you go. That's the sort of quality.
But they're not going to go. They're not going to go for Koeman, whoever Koeman. They're not going to go for Koeman. You've worse pronunciation than me, because they've already got they like ex-players at Man United, which is why Ollie's got the job. They're just waiting for him to fail, and they're going to bring Steve Bruce in.
No, he's ginger.
Steve Bruce for Man United.
No, he's gingerhead, and they can say he's Paul Scholes and just basket over.
Yeah.
Penalties.
We went first. Went at our end. Madison stepped up. Confidence got back. 1-0. They equalised. Barnes got the second, and then they missed. And at that point, you're thinking,
Yeah, I thought that was crucial. I was sat here, you know, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this show, but as a goalkeeper myself, and I faced the penalty shootout. No, I know. I've never mentioned. I let this slip. I know. There goes me. But I kind of said, if they missed the first one, we ain't missing tonight. And when they missed that one, it was fantastic. The Ward saved another one, and we didn't have to have the last person step up and take it. But I think even if Ward didn't save it, the second he hit the bar, I just felt a bit more comfort, which is nice with Leicester, because over the last few years we've been a bit jittery in penalty shootouts, haven't we? Yes. We lost a few teams in this cup competition alone on penalty shootouts, so it was nice.
Yeah, Daka put his away, which put us 3-1 up.
Yeah,
they got one, and then Ricardo, he stepped up and took a nice penalty, 4-2, and then of course, Ward, took your mantle over as Jesus and saved, and we were through. It is an extra game, but I think when you're looking, I mean, who's actually still through? That is the question, of course. We know tonight Tottenham have gone through.
Tottenham, Arsenal
have gone through.
Liverpool, Chelsea, Brentford, Sunderland, Leicester. That's 8. I've got 8. and QPR go through?
I'll be honest with
I
you,
think
like I
QPR
say, I'll go along with you on that one. I'm not sure who is through, but I know you were asking for Sunderland at home, and I just said 2 words: Wycombe Wanderers. It's quarterfinals. I mean, again, we've talked about the Carabao Cup. It's silly to think 2 games and we're into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and again, I don't know why they've decided to do that, because again, I just think it makes another mockery of the cup. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's great on in reality, when you think about it, 2 games were at the quarterfinals, 3 games were at Wembley in the semi-finals, but teams just don't bother. That even makes a team like a Wigan or a Portsmouth look at this competition and go, not arse, not going to win it, so what does it matter? That's come with the fact that the Man City Cup can now get renamed by a different name because they're not going to win it this year. About bloody time. But then you look at it and go, well, we've got another competition. I mean, they do the Johnson's Paint Trophy. They do that, that's done in a group format these days. That got restructured. We're talking about a cup competition that's been had the living poo-poo kicked out of it. So I can't swear. We're trying to get this channel, making sure it stays in good terms. So I'll be improving my language for you. But I don't know. I just takes the spice out of it, doesn't it? There's no. By the time and Premier League clubs don't come into it, that are in Europe until the later rounds. I just if you sat there lethargically not bothered and you're like, because I'll be honest with you, Chris, and I think I said this to a few people, might be even to yourself. When I heard we was playing on a Wednesday night, I thought, why are we having our Europa League game on a Wednesday again? I thought it was at home, and then someone went, it's Brighton in the cup, and I was like, oh, for God.
I had forgotten about it as well. I hadn't got anything ready for it at all. And it was only when we were talking with Craig that the weekend. I've got to do that. But Craig said earlier, it was a good point. That was the point I was going to bring back up when you brought up about Koeman. I don't want to go into this in too much detail, but will Brendan be linked with Barcelona? And to be honest with you, he's bound to be, but I don't think he'll go because I think Barcelona's a little bit of a toxic job at the moment because they haven't got any money. So I don't think it's a worse job to take on than the Spurs job, I think, if we're honest. And you did say about you could only get 8, but of course it is 8 teams that are through because it's the quarterfinals. So it's
I think we've known them all then.
Yeah, Arsenal, Chelsea, Sunderland, Leicester, Tottenham, Liverpool, Brentford, and West Ham. I'd say go out and put a 5 on Brentford winning it and doing a Leicester when we doing a Leicester.
Yeah. Do you know what I will say? Probably the first time in a while that I've seen 7 out of the 8 teams in this competition be all Premier League sides.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think apart from, and I really don't want Sunderland because I think we're on a hiding to nothing. Because I think if you play in a Sunderland, there's a tendency to not take it seriously. I think, but 2 words again, Newport County.
I think it all depends on our situation.
Yeah, if you're playing with any of the others, I don't think it matters whether you're playing Arsenal, Chelsea, or whoever. I just hope it's a home tie. Lucas says there, quarterfinal draw on a Saturday. Seriously, we said that earlier, didn't we, Brad?
Again.
It's ridiculous. But
stressing the point of the competition's botherance.
Indeed.
Make money.
But we won, and we're through, and we're in the quarterfinals. And I think when you look back at the history, and it goes, in the quarterfinals this year, in the quarterfinals, it all looks good. But Brad, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Always, mate. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it as always.
Yeah. It's always nice to talk about a win, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just thought they could replace Ollie and Koeman. They could replace the clown with Ronald McDonald, the clown, couldn't they? So Ronald's at the wheel. That'd be next. Sorry, Maze, if you're still watching. I just that joke was awful. I'll miss it. I'll take the P45.
I think Maisie left a while ago, to be honest with you, with your insults. But no, it's coming up to 11:30. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. Some people would say I already have done. Lockdown pounds there. But we've not got long, and we're going to be seeing each other so much this week. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow at 7 for the Prediction League.
Yep.
And don't forget, anybody that's watching, amazingly for the Prediction League, we've got this gentleman, Mark Selby, the jester from Leicester himself. Now, unfortunately, obviously, he has got commitments in the fact that he plays snooker for most of the year, but he has sent his predictions in. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see if he does better than should we say, normal fans. Is that fair on him, I think? But... and then, of course,
from Leicester. Wow, Chris, you want to get that shout out and get that posted up and get that put out. Lots of people will love hearing Mark Selby giving his prediction for the weekend.
It's going to be very interesting. And then we're back on Friday with the Arsenal preview. Before I go on, this is Luca's Life YouTube channel to tell them how Leicester are going to stuff Arsenal on Saturday morning.
Yeah. And then you're still with me on the post-match.
And then I'm with you on the post-match again. I mean, we just can't get enough of each other, can we?
I know, right? People will start talking, mate.
Yeah, I think they've been talking for a long time, mate. And I think it's pity for you that they have the fact that you've got to put up with me so often. But,
wow! I didn't want to say it. You said it, not me, mate.
Brad, thanks very much, mate. I'll see you tomorrow night at 7.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, mate. And cheers, everybody. See ya.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye. Thanks very much to Brad there. Great show, but it is coming up to 11:30. I do hate these evening ones. I really, really do. Tomorrow night, we're up next. This is what we've got coming up next. We will see you back after this. It is the prediction show. I am not doing very well in that. Brad is leading that at the moment. Don't ask me why, because in the proper prediction league online, he's doing absolutely poop. But in that, and the guests have coming up. Doug did a really good week last week. Will Mark Selby do any better? We will find out tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And then following on from that, oh no, you just can't get enough of me this week, can you? Following on from that, this is coming. The quiz master is going to take on all comers, and it's the pilot show. We're seeing how it goes. It's not a football quiz; it's a general knowledge quiz. The idea is that it's just going to be a laugh. Everything we do is a laugh, even when we don't mean it to be. Thanks to everybody that has been joining in this evening. Luca, Maisie, all the other guys, Terry, David, Brookline, everybody that's joined in. It's been great. Thanks for doing it. We still do it without you, but we'll just be talking to ourselves, and it's what we do most of the time anyway. Thanks so much. Remember, if you want to watch this, get over to YouTube, watch it on catch up. We don't have a +1. I know. I'm sad. I don't have a +1. Actually, thinking about the one that I had, I'm probably better without a +1 now. Oh, I say that in the complete knowledge that she's in a different house a few miles away. Yeah, get onto YouTube. Give us a subscribe. It does help the channel. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. It's always a help as well. And if you want to listen to us while you're doing the washing up, while you're doing the gardening, while you're out and about, you'll be able to get this on the podcasts. Search Leicester Till I Die. It's on Amazon, Apple, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Spotify, and Podcast Addict. Always trips me up to name but a few. And if you're listening on your smart speaker, then it's just ask it to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die. You have to say it in full, the podcast Leicester Till I Die. And rather than look at me, which be an improvement. You'll be able to just listen to me. See you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Thanks to Brad again, and thanks to everybody for joining in the chat. Good night now.
That's all, folks.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.